Liverpool has an illustrious history of being second greatest port in the British Empire. My video will give you an insight as to why the city was so important and how it gained its unparalleled wealth, how it invested in its commercial architecture, its public buildings, and how Liverpool philanthropists diversified its culture. I'm Edwin Cabahug from Philippines, Lawis. After the Second World War between Britain and Allied forces, and Germany, a new Liverpool emerged longing for an end to austerity and food rationing. The young people who had grown up in the war, looked to the future, and started to buy records from America, which influenced the most famous band in the world, the Beatles. As an islander from Lawis, Cebu, Philippines. It's not just the history but the sheer chutzpah of these buildings that fascinates me. Everything starts with the port. Dock workers at work tells me gesturing towards the fast-flowing, silk-brown Mersey. It was King John who declared the natural harbour a borough in 1207. Coastal, Irish and European shipping was joined in the 17th century by trade from the American colonies. By the 1700s, warehouses and counting houses lined the docks. Tobacco, rum and cotton, commodities of slave-powered trade, were disgorged, while salt, soap and machinery were dispatched to the rest of the world. Innovation was encouraged. I learned that Liverpool has some of the country's earliest fireproof buildings, steel and stone structures which paved the way for skyscrapers, such as the Edwardian Royal Liver Building, with its curious bird sculptures perched on top, heron, cormorant, no one knows. They're a local mystery. Alleys were clad in white tiles to bounce light into adjacent buildings. Without Newton I would have missed Oriel Chambers, one of the world's first buildings to feature a metal-framed, glass curtain wall, so avant-garde that the builder at the time condemned it as a vast abortion. My aerial video by drone of Liverpool best-loved Merseyside buildings and promenade, taken between the 1920s and the 1950s when coastal destinations were nearing the peak of their popularity, tell the story of how they developed. Initially places where the wealthy few bathed in the Mersey River to improve their health, they became a magnet for the whole population. The city of Liverpool in Merseyside, England includes a diverse variety of historical housing architectures, some dating back several hundred years, from small working-class terrace houses to larger mansions, mostly from the Victorian era. While many remain in the present day, large numbers were demolished and redeveloped during the slum clearances of the 1960s and 1970s, and of those that survived, many have since been refurbished. Terraces first became popular in England when Nicholas Barbon began rebuilding London after the Great Fire in 1666. The terrace was designed to hold family and servants together in one place, as opposed to separate servant quarters, and came to be regarded as a higher form of life. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the 8th studio album by the English rock band The Beatles. Released on the 26th of May 1967, it spent 27 weeks at number 1 on the record retailer chart in the United Kingdom and 15 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Top LPs chart in the United States. Liverpool punches above its weight in terms of culture. Music luminaries, the Beatles are the city's most famous sons, while the red and blue sides of the football divide in the city have both had their time as champions of England and Europe. This former industrial powerhouse has had to diversify and now is a popular student city as well as a popular tourist stop. Many of the buildings at Albert Dock are Grade 1 listed, so they cannot be torn down. This has meant the area retains the feel of its former industrial glory, even though it's now tourists, not sailors, who walk the docks. The area is beautiful in any weather, but it can get chilly in winter, so dress for the season. Liverpool is well known for being a beautiful city. As well as being a culturally and artistically diverse place, with a range of theatres and museums on offer, there's also plenty of listed buildings, lush green spaces, a world-famous waterfront and a range of swanky, modern buildings that have added to our rich skyline. Liverpool Cathedral is the cathedral of the Anglican Diocese of Liverpool, built on St. James's Mount in Liverpool, and the seat of the Bishop of Liverpool. It may be referred to as the Cathedral Church of Christ in Liverpool as recorded in the document of consecration, or the Cathedral Church of the Risen Christ, Liverpool, being dedicated to Christ, in a special remembrance of his most glorious resurrection. 1. Liverpool Cathedral is the largest cathedral and religious building in Britain, 2. And the 8th largest church in the world. I made this video upon the request of my sister Jonalyn Cabahug. Sis, this video is dedicated to you. I miss you 8 Bevet. See you here in Liverpool on Christmas. I'm Edwin Cabahug from Lawis.